Myhomecare are delighted to have Andrew McFarlane from CareZapp into the studio today to discuss, in conjunction with Myhomecare, offering a free app that will help all our Myhomecare clients. Welcome, Andrew. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm fine, thank you.
Great. For our listeners today that don't know anything about CareZapp, can you give a little background as to how the concept of CareZapp came around and what it is? And I suppose the main thing is, what are the advantages to our users, our Myhomecare users, of having CareZapp?
Yeah, well, there's many different stories in relation to care. In my own case, it was my mother, and my mother died from cancer at home. But in that, we realised the difficulties in actually bringing together the different care that was required around people, from doctors to hospice to other people that needed to be able to support mum at home, and even among family members. But actually, mum died nearly 20 years ago, and in all that period of time, our care services have not really changed for delivering care at home. And right now, our care services cannot actually meet the demand, so there has to be new ways of bringing home care into people's home.
Okay, great. So if we give an example to the listeners as to how CareZapp would work. So if we have my grandmother at home who has maybe a touch of Alzheimer's, who is independently living at home, however the responsibility maybe is on myself and a couple of my members of my family, how would CareZapp be of an advantage to us for my grandmother at home?
In the first case, your grandmother most likely wants to remain living at home. That's her biggest concern, that's her biggest wish. So in doing that, what you can do is actually bring supports in to actually enable Granny to be able to stay living at home. So between the family members, you can set up what we call a care network, and that care network can then communicate, in the first case, between each other. So you can share tasks that need to be done for Granny, and you can just have open communications in relation to that. And not affecting Granny in at home, but being able to support her and being able to do that. And from that, there's a value-added benefit, and from there you can see much more other added values when you start to bring in other care groups out in the community. So she may have some good friends and neighbours who could become part of that care network, who could support Granny at different points in time, or call in to see her, so that you're not all arriving at the same time. You can actually coordinate that and collaborate in relation to that type of support and care. And then you can begin to bring that out into the healthcare professionals, into the home care professionals, and into other care groups that can come in and start to support Granny.
Okay, perfect. So like my grandmother's GP could be invited in to monitor, obviously, if there's any issues over her medication, or maybe cholesterol issues or things like that, that he would obviously get alerted, I presume, from this app, and advise them if medications are running low, or if there needs to be a check on her cholesterol due to weight increases or decreases. Is that the way it works?
Exactly. So, Granny could be taking her readings at home, not have to go to the GP's practice, and the GP could be able to see those remotely and be able to respond to that and give your Granny, or give one of you a call to say it would be a good opportunity to bring Granny in. I'm a bit concerned about her blood pressure, let's bring her in to see it. It could be that you're linked with the local pharmacist, and the pharmacist knows that there's a renewal on your medication you need to be due, and they could be dropping it over. So it's other ways of just supporting that independence at home and being able to bring that whole care network that exists typically within communities, but is just not connected. And that's the big challenge about care right now, it is not connected. So CareZapp brings that connection together. It's a platform for bringing all those people together.
Okay, and how can our listeners today get, obviously, CareZapp? How can they install CareZapp?
So CareZapp's a free app, so it's going to be available on Android and iOS, and it's also available on our website, so you can load it on any computer and any device. So simply go to CareZapp.com, register for free, and start building your own care network, and invite your other family members and other people to come aboard and start utilising it.
Perfect. Obviously, this is only the first stage of your technology for your company, and hopefully down the line, as we discussed earlier, that CareZapp has some added additions for family members to be able to use for their family living independently at home. For example, maybe monitoring systems. What other new technology hopefully will be added on?
Yeah, we see huge opportunities going forward in working in partnership with the different care providers out there. That gives us opportunities to bring in sensors and technologies which are becoming a big issue in terms of what they call the Internet of Things, and all these other sensors and technologies that are becoming widely available. Some of those supports can actually come into the home just to help people living at home and enable them to continue living at home. So we can bring sensors and technologies that can alert simply that mum's up and moving around today, to mum's been a long time in the bathroom, maybe somebody needs to go and check on her, or there has been no movement in the house and it's after a certain hour on the day, right through to there's an open door and nobody is in the house, or other things like that. So we can track and monitor some of the daily activities of living at home. We can go straight through onto what we call vitals and other information, right through to panic buttons and other buttons being in there, to turning off cookers if there was extended periods of times on cookers and somebody was concerned in relation to dementia and other things. So there's a lot of things that can be done and brought in the forward, but you've got to start at the basic level of connections and communications.
Perfect. Well, look, thank you very much for popping into the studio today. That's been Andrew, and I've been Aileen from Myhomecare.ie, and all the details regarding Myhomecare.ie and CareZapp are running on the bottom of our screen. Thank you.
Thank you.